toughest lessons and Torah portions that a person can literally go through. You know, Moshe is at the end of his dissertation. He's at the end of speaking what Yah wanted him to say to the children of Israel. This man was 120 years old in perfect health. And the Creator says, it's time for you to go and die. And that's coming up. That's coming up. Man he had all of his senses. His body was 100%. Everything was good for him. But his mission was over. And when the mission is over, the mission is over. There's nothing else to be said. You see, there's nothing else to be added to the Torah. Nothing. Okay. You know, we have people who are writing books and talking about, I heard this, and I'm not going to give any names. I just listen to some people to kind of see where they're coming from. This one rabbi, he said, this is what he said, you know, and he's a Hebrew Israelite, and he calls himself a rabbi. He said that when you have the Torah, listen to me, when you have the Torah sets you free from your captivity. This is what he said. You're set free. Once you have the Torah, you're free. You're not in bondage anymore. That's what he said. And to the average listener, that would be something like, oh, that's great. We're free from our bondage. We're free from the curses. We're free from Yah's judgment. We're free because we read the Torah. As if Jeremiah chapter number 31 is not in the prophets, where it says that you don't have the full understanding of the Torah. As if Deuteronomy 28 is not in the Torah, that you're under curses. And we're playing dumb, and we're circumventing what Yah said. Do you know, if I was to be a teacher that told you how wonderful you are and how blessed you are and how Elohim Yahweh is so much on your side right now, and I'm giving you a false sense of importance, and I'm telling you these things, do you know that you would be denied the truth about what our situation really is? This is what makes me different, and I know it. I get in trouble. I got put out of a lot of places because I tell people, no, that's not true. That's not true. And we're going to talk about that today, and we're going to express those things. And I want you to get an understanding. I don't want you to leave these teachings. I want you to stay. And I know it's uncomfortable. I do. I know it's hard to deal with. I know it's difficult. But I understand the necessity and why it's important for us to get this. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Praise be to the living Elohim. Yah doesn't expect us to understand every single thing. We will never fully understand. Never fully understand. We will never fully comprehend his ways. Never. He says, my ways are higher than your ways, and my thoughts are higher than your thoughts. This week's Torah portion is called Tavo. And Tavo is about when you come, okay? The T here is you, and the Vo is really bo, which means when you come or you go, or when you're brought. See? That's what this is about. When you go into the land, you need to bring me a basket. When you go, when you come to the place where I told you to bring that basket, you know, certain things you're supposed to do. We're going to discuss all those things and make the connections. We're going to talk about the Haftarah portion to this in Isaiah, Yeshayahu, chapter number 60. We're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss a lot of different things. But it's really about us going, and it was about us coming to a place. We're supposed to have a hope, and our hope is supposed to be in our Elohim and not in men. Two areas of discussion today. One is called Kol, the Qol, put it in English, transliterate it using Hebrew letters, English letters for Hebrew letters. Kol. Kol. Okay. And then we got Zion. That's what we're going to talk about. Okay. You ask, well, what is this about? This is about us coming and going to a place. It's about us being in the right frame of mind. And the only way you can get there is through this word kol. That's the only way. Yah has used this word all throughout our Torah portion and all throughout the Tanakh, all over the place. It's been a big issue, okay, for us as his children. As you know, I want to discuss with you the importance of the Hebrew language. If you don't understand the Hebrew language, you will not understand what the Creator is saying. I don't care if it's in English. It's not doing any justice. You don't get the fullness of it. It's like eating filet mignon versus McDonald's. Okay. There's no nutritional value in English, none. You have to go back to the source. You have to go back to the original language, because if you don't go there, you will not understand. You will not understand it. You know, and it's not to say that I'm better because I know it. No, I'm better off because I can be able to understand. And you want a teacher that's going to be able to tell you, what did Yahweh say? In the Hebrew language, as you know, there are two letters called a parent root. Okay. One is a kof and the other one here's a lamed. And we're going to discuss what those letters are. We can't understand about kol until we understand what makes up that in particular word. And it consists of two letters, and then they bring another letter in order to join it to make a child root. Okay. So, but the first letter understanding here is the kuf. Okay. Like a kufi that you put on your head. It has this idea about a circle, evolution, the sun, and time, things that rotate. Okay. So it's about rotation. So circles, you go in rotation, the sun goes in rotation, there's evolution, things begin to change, there's cycles, there's time. Okay. The lamed, as you know, has this idea of the staff. It means, and what's the staff used? It's used to direct. To direct what? To direct in a certain direction, is to move things back and forth, or to or for. That's why the letter lamed is used as a preposition for the word to or for, because you're going to use it to move to somewhere or for something. You're directing it to something. Okay. It's also used, the staff is used as a weapon. Okay. A shepherd's staff is used as a weapon. Okay. And it also means to learn. Okay. That's what it means. It means to learn. Okay. So when you see this letter, it always has to do with learning. And there's other extended definitions of it that we're going to go over as well. But you already know the basics, just moving like a shepherd. Okay. The function of this in particular word together, or the staff, is to gather to the staff. That's the function. There always has to be a function in anything that we do. Okay. It has to be for a purpose. Right. So the staff is used to gather. This is what the shepherd uses. He uses the staff to gather. Gather who? Gather the sheep. Okay. And he gathers the sheep to himself. And therefore, the shepherd uses this to do that. The responsibility of a shepherd is to direct. Okay. These are the primary responsibilities: direct, discipline, and protect. Okay. With that staff. Okay. Of course, there's to feed the sheep as well and bring them to water, but you have to direct them there. You have to discipline the sheep with the staff. You don't beat the sheep with the staff. You goad them, you press on them, you push them, you pull them out of places they don't need to go. And they need this, because if they don't do it, then more than likely they're going to get injured, or they're going to get killed, or they're going to get lost. Okay. And so again, that staff is used for that. But it's also used for protection, to protect this sheep against the wolves or any other predator. So it's there as well. And this is in the hand of the shepherd. That's the responsibility of the shepherd. The final understanding of this word kol, okay, is the voice. This is what we're talking about, the voice. And what is the voice? The voice is the call of the shepherd to the sheep, okay? And the sheep are the ones who knew him by the sound of his voice. So when he would give a certain sound, they would run to him, they would gather to him. You can look on YouTube, there's certain sounds, and they won't, and someone else can call to a sheep and they won't go to that shepherd because they're not familiar with his voice. You see? So often we ask the question, why are people coming to Yah? He said, I'm calling to them, but no one's answering. But there are people who are answering the call of the shepherd. And those individuals know his voice. There was never a pamphlet was mailed to your house that told you that you were a Hebrew Israelite, or told you that you needed to join with the Torah, or told you that Yah says, I'm bringing judgment on the earth. There's not a Jewish person on the face of the earth today that's sent and said, let me show you the way of the Torah. Nobody's ever brought us to any type of understanding. The only way that you and I came to understand this is by the voice of the shepherd, Yahweh. Yah's intention is to gather people. And that word there is called kohol. It's the same letters that you see in the word for kol. It's a what? It's a kof. And then they added this letter right here, a hey and the lamed. Same thing. So this one right here and this one here is to gather, right? And then here is the hey, makes it a child root. And basically this word means to assemble. That's what I want you to do. I want to cause you to assemble to me. And therefore you would say assemble or assembly, okay? So when Yah does this, he does this by his voice, okay? And so when the time came to move, right? The shepherd would call them and they would quickly gather to him. They would quickly assemble. And the reason why they're coming to be assembled, because it's time to move on. Yah has not called us for no other reason, hear me, in order to bring us to a place. This is why he's using his voice, is to call us, to gather us, to assemble us, to bring us to a place, in a place of rest, a place of comfort, a place that he had promised for us. And that place is the land of Israel, and more specifically, Zion. It's about a voice. That's what this is all about. Tavo, down here in your left-hand part of the corner here, is when you come. So now that we have this understanding of what he says when you come, it's about a voice. You can't go anywhere unless Yahweh calls you. He says this in our Torah portion. In verse number 1 and 2 of Devarim, chapter number 28, he says, if you listen closely, okay, the Shema, to what Yahweh your Elohim says, observing and obeying all his mitzvot, which I'm giving you today, okay, Yahweh your Elohim will set you as Elyon. We went over Elyon this week, and it talked about this position, this appointment, this designation as being the highest. I'm going to make you the highest above all the nations on the earth, and all the following blessings will be yours in abundance if you will do what Yahweh your Elohim says. You said, well, I am doing it. I am doing what he says. Well, that's great. Let's continue to go. And let's find out what we need to understand along with listening to what he says. Yah's purpose is to set us high. That's the goal. The goal is to continue to make us Elyon. We share in the title that is ascribed to him, and there is no greater or higher Elohim than Yahweh. And Yah's letting us know, I've chosen you to be the highest of all the peoples on the face of the earth. Therefore, you have to do what I say. If you don't do it, it's not going to happen. I want to make you exalted. I want to exalt you. And I looked and I said, well, where's this word Elyon come from? And what is its root? Where does it originate from? What is the parent root? And I came up with the parent root is all, which is the ayin for the letter A. And this is what the letter looks like, an ayin, for those who don't know. The next letter is a lamed. Again, that's what it is. And that's the parent. So this is the essence of this word Elyon. Okay. And so if you know what the ayin is, somebody tell me what the ayin is.
Eyes.
It is the eye. And the eye brings knowledge. It brings experience through visual observation. Everything that you and I will experience is through the eyes. And you gain knowledge through your eyes. Now, can you see the importance of reading the Torah on a daily basis, and the Psalms and the Tanakh and the prophets in the writings? So you can get the experience. So you can get the knowledge. You see? Through visual observation. And by that, you begin to do things. You begin to experience different things. That's why this is so important. This is not a trivial matter, folks. This is why we got to guard our eyes from anything else. And this is the reason why you should not be reading the New Testament. Don't you dare set your eyes upon something that Yahweh did not have. No, he did not write that. He did not have, his name is never mentioned there. It totally goes against what he says. Set your eyes upon the Torah of Yahweh. Set your eyes upon the writings of the prophets. Set your eyes upon the Psalms and the Proverbs. Set your eyes on those things where at least you will find Yahweh's name. Gain your knowledge and your experience from that. The things that you and I see today, you see, is not going to be beneficial to us unless you have the Torah to guide you. We talked about the lamed. The lamed is that staff. It's the authority. But also it has an extended meaning of a yoke. Agriculturally, it was put upon the neck of an ox or oxen in order to direct them, in order to move them. And it also has this idea of being above. So in our word elyon, I thought it was, like an aleph and a lamed, and then the yod, and then the, here I thought it was this. It's not an aleph. Like El. It's not an aleph. It's this. It's this. This is what it is. It's not this. It's an ayin. That's what it means, okay? Or how you spell it. So, I wanted to be that Elohim. I wanted to be joined to this idea of El. It's all, okay? Pronounces El. Elyon, okay? So even within that word of Elyon, we see this. And in English, it would be this, okay? Authority, yoke, above. It means to place something above. So when they had to put this yoke on the oxen, they had to lift it up and put it on its neck. You understand? You're going to see this word a lot today. Because if you and I are going to be Elyon, then you and I have to fall under the authority of something greater than ourselves. You and I are going to have to accept this yoke that's being put on our shoulders. You and I are, if we want to be above the nations, then you and I are going to have to take this yoke, because that's Yah's intention. That's what that staff represents. It means to experience the staff. That's what you and I are experiencing. When you read the Torah and you study and you learn Hebrew and you're learning about the letters, you don't have to be an expert in Hebrew. All you got to do is just say, well, I want to learn, at least learn the alphabet, at least understand the agricultural terms and understanding, at least try to find out how people, that culture, live their lives, so you can have something to look at and to make some comparisons. You can't apply Western thought and Western understanding to Hebrew thought. You can't. It doesn't work. Yah is looking for performance. This is what he's looking for. He's not looking for people to say, I trust you, I believe in you, but I won't do what you say. I'm going to cry to you, but I'm never going to change my ways. I want you to save me, but I don't want to do nothing for you. Yah is the master of the universe, people. And you and I are his servants. And he says that you and I are supposed to la asoph, meaning to do what he says. But before there's performance, there always has to be preparation. Yah doesn't just automatically throw something on us that you and I can't bear. He prepares us for it. Yah doesn't go out and grab the youngest ox that you can, has never had any experience, and put all the weight on him and make him do it until he just breaks him to see how strong he is. That's not a wonderful owner of an ox. You got to train that ox. You got to bring that ox up. That ox is teamed up with an older ox or a more experienced ox in order to show it how to do what it needs to do, so it can go through a preparation period called training. We need to be trained. And the only way a person can be trained is they first got to listen to what the master is saying to them. This yoke has to be lifted over the shoulders of an oxen in order to perform this work. But they got to be prepared. Preparation is huge. It's huge. It's what's required. It's what's necessary. If you and I want to be exalted, you and I are going to have to go through that process. And we're going to have to do it. Listen, not that we understand everything. It's just like we have to be willing to learn. We have to be willing to be gathered. We have to be willing to be tamed in order to bring about the work that Yah has for us to do. In our Torah portion, Yahweh talked about us bringing him a basket. And in that basket, we're supposed to bring our first fruits to the place in which Yahweh has ordered us to bring it, in order to give evidence to the fact that I brought you into the land that I promised to your fathers. There is supposed to be this idea of joy, celebration, and appreciation from a basket on a regular basis. Why? Because I need to remind you. And when you got there, you're supposed to quote and say something about how your father was nothing, how he was, going to be destroyed by the Arami, which is the Syrian, which is Uncle Lavan, was going to destroy him. But Yah delivered him. We went over that during the week, talked about how he made his oath to Yah and swore that I'll give you 10% of everything that I get, that if you would protect me and guide me. These are oaths and vows that our fathers have made with Yah. Yah's been keeping his word the whole time. But Yah says, listen, the basket, there was another basket that Israel had. Before the basket of in their own land, they had someone else's basket. I lifted the load from his shoulder. His hands were freed from the laborer's basket. It's a different basket. This basket was on our shoulders. It was a weight, and there was no benefit to us whatsoever. It's the burden of those who have enslaved us to put their burdens upon our shoulders for us to carry it for them, and you and I would never benefit from it. You weren't carrying a basket to Yah, you were carrying a basket for your enemies who didn't care about the work of your hand, who didn't have any appreciation for you, didn't say thank you, and they didn't give it to you. There was no recognition whatsoever. You just did what you were told. And if you didn't do it, you were beaten. If you weren't beaten, you were talked to cruelly, you were killed. They brought exhaustion upon your body and broke you down when you were in slavery, just like they do in the places in which they brought us. You called out when you were in trouble, when you were lifting this basket, and I rescued you. And I answered you from the thunder cloud. I tested you at Mivra Spring. And he's going to continue to tell us about that in here in just a moment. Yah has heard us when we're in trouble, and he has rescued us. And Yah says, I don't change. I will never change. The goal for us is to be brought out of our trouble, to be rescued. And if you and I don't get to know Yah, and guess what? I understand something today. Knowing Yah and coming to know him is not easy, people. It's not easy. It's not a slam dunk deal. It's not. It's not like I say a few words, I go to an altar call, I say I'm sorry, and I believe, and then all of a sudden now I'm saved and I miraculously got out of all my trouble. And now instead of me fighting with the enemies that are around me, I'm fighting with the devil who doesn't exist. I have an enemy which doesn't exist. I'm fighting someone who doesn't exist. I shared that in other teachings. There's plenty of Hasatans, but this imaginary so-called devil that they introduced, right? There's Satans all over. There's Satan in the book of Job. There's a Satan in the book of Numbers. There's a Satan in the book of Kings. There's Satans. They're all over the place. Yah can turn somebody against you to be a Satan, to be an adversary. It's not easy knowing Yah. I said earlier, months ago, and I got a lot in trouble for this, but I've been telling people that you're not blessed. Oh, you're not blessed. I'm blessed. No, you're not. People have left class and say, no, I can't do it. This man just told me that I'm not blessed. And I know I'm blessed. I know that God has blessed me. So I don't know what this brother's talking about. He owns something else. They don't understand this word Baruch. And I'm going to share with you so you can get more understanding today about this word Baruch. And then we're going to go over Kualala. Okay. Baruch is the word that is being used for blessed. In our Torah portion, this word is used in verses 28, 1 through 14. There's 6 of them there that he says that if you do what I'm telling you, I'll bless you in the city. I'll bless you in the town or the countryside. I'll bless your basket. I'll bless. Okay. So let me give you some understanding. Blessing means to multiply. How do we know this? Well, if you go back to Genesis or Bereshith, chapter number 1, Yah tells creation that, hey, I need you to be fruitful and multiply. Yah bless them. And they say, go be fruitful and multiply. That's the first time it's mentioned. Yah tells us in our Torah portion, I will put a blessing, a multiplicity on your grain basket in your kneading bowl. That's what I'm going to do. And often we don't want that blessing. We don't want the grain and we don't want the kneading bowl, which means that you and I don't want to eat. That's what we don't want. The blessings that you and I have been told that the Christians had infused into our minds is the blessing of material items like, jewelry and clothes and houses and cars and boats and vacations and job advancement and all these sorts of things. That has its place. But the blessing of Yahweh appertains to the land, people. When Yah says, I made a promise to your fathers, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, it was to give their descendants a land, L-A-N-D, and everything that goes with that land, which are animals, grains, fruits, trees, rivers, streams, rain, clouds, seasons. It's all there. Grains, spices, oils, you see? So blessing from that perspective is a multiplicity. It means to multiply. But there are two types of blessing. There's two types of blessed. So let's understanding, and for those who are watching live by YouTube, understand this today, that there are two types. And often we get these things mixed up. So let's solve it today. Baruch, from its agricultural meaning, means a kneeling. And it means to bend your knee. And often what you mean by bending your knee is when you came to a certain place or a certain person, right? You would bend your knee and you would have your palms open with a gift in your hand. And what we were giving in those times of gifts were spices, were flowers, were grains. Think about what our father Yaakov did when Joseph was in Egypt and his sons came back and said, hey, this man has held our brothers and he's upset and so forth and so on. And he says, well, go back and bring the man a gift. Talking about Joseph or Yosef. He didn't know that it was his son. And they came back with all kind of grains and they came back with all kind of spices and resins and things of that nature. Meaning to bless, to show respect by bending the knee with a gift in your hand. When Yah asked us to come before him, he's saying, take what I gave you and present to me the best of it. Give me the gift from your hand. When you bless Yahweh, you're supposed to have something in your hand. You better, he told us, when you come to me 3 times a year, you bet not show up with nothing in your hand. And when you come to me, you're going to kneel to me, you're going to bend your knee, and you're going to have something in your hand. You're not going to come to me empty-handed. But see, we don't want that. We don't want Yah to be the king. We want to give him what we want to give him. We want to bless him with empty blessings. Just simply by us saying it means that it's accepted, and that's not true. This is the king of the universe. Who can walk up before a king with nothing but words? The ones who Yah has put something in your hand have to come to him with it in their hand. Something tangible. Yah has told us, I'm going to give you things that you can actually see, touch, feel, smell, taste. Use your 5 senses. Why all of a sudden now, when it comes to bringing Yah something, all of a sudden now it's all spiritual. Our people are so bent on that which is spiritual, they can't see the physical, the reality. Yah talks to us through the physical. He feeds us through the physical. He gives physical trees for us to eat the physical fruit. We live on a physical land. There's physical rain. There's physical windstorms. It's physical. That has an impact on our souls. There's a second type. It's called ashrei. And ashrei has this idea of a cord, a rope, and it's pulled straight, okay? A cord is pulled straight. As one living a straight life is happy. That's a person is happy. So this word ashrei is used all through the Psalms. Blessed is the man who doesn't walk in the counsel of the ungodly, nor sitteth in the way of sinners, and stand in the way of sit in the seat of the scornful, stand in the way of sinners. Psalms 119. Ashrei Aish. Okay, different, completely different. When you and I live the way that Yah told us to live, then good things will happen for you because you're living a life that's straight and that's righteous. That's what makes you happy. So I don't want anyone to get it confused or twisted like I'm trying to take happiness from anyone. I just believe that we need to put the proper blessings in this proper perspective. You and I can be blessed from an Ashrei perspective, but not a Baruch, because we have nothing from the land that he gave to our fathers. Yah doesn't want fruit from this land to be brought to him. He doesn't want it. You understand? He doesn't want anything from a land of wickedness and filth and disgust. And so when we downplay what he says in order to make ourselves feel better about our situation, we minimize his glory and his honor. But while you and I are in our exile, you can have times of happiness and times of blessing of Ashrei. You can get a promotion. You can go on a trip. You can get a new car and all those things. And that makes you happy. And that's fine. But don't you put that with what he's talking about the land. Don't conflate those two ideas. If he wanted there to be one type of blessing, he would have just said Baruch only, but he said Baruch and Ashrei. They're different. They're two types. So yes, you say you're blessed. Remember, I'm happy. And the Kuala is the curse. We talked about it before. And listen, you see the letters in here? Pay attention to the letters. Kuala. It's a kof and a lamed. Two lameds. Okay, kolal, which kuala. And this comes from the idea of a shepherd as well. Let me tell you about it. When the shepherd, because remember, it's about gathering. That's where the call is from. And call is what? It means the voice. Okay. So when you got the kuala, okay, it means it still has this call in here. Okay. But this is a different perspective. When the shepherd would travel, he would travel light. Very lightly. He wouldn't have a whole bunch of stuff with him. He would have some grains. He'd have some, berries and stuff like that. And he would feed himself with that, but also, for himself, he would feed the sheep and the flock or wherever he's pasturing. He'll bring them to a pasture. Okay. A pasture. But when he's feeding himself, he traveled lightly because he couldn't have a whole bunch of stuff on him. So he would eat those grains and those berries and things like that and the herbs or whatnot. So he traveled very lightly. Okay. So that word right there, kolal, means to be light, and it means to be swift. Okay. And light, because that's how he would travel. Right. So within that family of words, kuala, this idea of light means that also too, you can be treated lightly. Meaning that just like I carry things very lightly, you can be treated lightly. And being treated lightly and being considered worthless is what he's talking about. So kuala is the curse that they use for the word curse. And Yah says that I'm going to treat you lightly. I'm going to treat you lightly, and I'm going to treat you worthless. That's what I'm going to treat you, like your nothingness. That's what I'm going to do for you now. You will not be esteemed. You will not have any weight whatsoever. You will not have any glory. You will not take a position of any type of authority or nothing. You're going to be nothing but like nothing, grain. You're going to be like chaff that's left over. That's how I'm going to treat you. Okay. So in that, we got the Baruch, and now we got the nothingness. You see, that's the kuala. So in our Torah portion, we saw the Yah says, I'm going to Baruch on your grain basket. I'm going to put something and fill your hand with something. Now I'm going to take you if you go against me, I'm going to do the kuala on you now. That's what we're doing. We're doing the kuala. I'm going to curse your grain basket and your kneading bowl, along with all the other curses that you got from verse number 15 all the way down to 68. I'm going to consider you nothing now. All right. You went from abundance to absolutely zippo now. You're nothing now to me. Right. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to kuala you. I'm going to treat your grain basket very lightly. There probably won't be nothing left in it, matter of fact. And this is for what? For you not doing what I say, for not listening to the code. So if you think about it, The voice, which is the kol, okay, from the stem qual, qualala is the cough and the lamed. Looks like a P, doesn't it? The qualala. You can see all the coughs in here. You understand? And the laments. And we know that means to gather to the staff. So now I'm going to put this qualala on you. I'm going to treat you very lightly. Why? Because you didn't listen to this. You see? So here's the deal. I'm going to qual you first. Okay. I'm going to gather you first. Then after I finish gathering, I'm going to gather you by my kol, which is my voice. Okay. Then when you gather to me, if you don't do what I say, then I'm going to do this to you now. Now we're going to do the qualala there. I'm still the shepherd. Now I'm going to do this to you. I'm going to treat you lightly. I'm not going to esteem you. I'm going to slaughter you and I'm going to destroy you like I told you. Okay. Well, where does this come from? Why would Yah do that to his people? Yah would do this to his people because of idolatry. If you're not listening to the Torah and you're reading the New Testament, you're in idolatry. If you're mixing what Yah said with someone else, what the Apostle Paul said, you're in idolatry. You're in idolatry. You can't be with two different husbands. You got to choose one. You can't be with Yah and then your boyfriend Christ. You can't go to heaven and get the land at the same time. It's one or the other. You got to choose. You got to choose that. You got to choose not eating pork versus eating pork. You got to choose drinking blood versus not drinking blood. That's what you got to choose. You got a choice. And the reason why this qualala happens is because of adultery. Nothingness is from idolatry. Now, Yah has been honest about listening to what he says. So let's hear what he says. What did Yahweh say? Yahweh says, what did your ancestors find wrong with me to make them go far away from me, to make them go after nothings and become themselves nothings? See? That's that qualala. So what is it that they found wrong with Yah? That's the question that he's asking the descendants of these ancestors. What did your ancestors find wrong with me to make them go far away from me? After I gathered them, they went far away from me. Right? To make for them to what? To make them go after nothings. Why would a person go after nothings? Because the ultimate goal is they go after nothings because they don't want to be nothing. And they don't want what Yah wants them to have. Yah is the king of the nations. And here it is. The same prophet. It says this. I put this in here because there's a certain thing in here that I wanted you to see about this piece of wood. Yeremi Yehu says, there's no one like you, Yahweh. You are great and your name is great and mighty. Who would not fear you, King of nations? For it is your due. Since among all the wise of the nations and among all the royalty, there is no one like you. One in all, they are boorish and stupid. The teaching of their nothings is a piece of wood. That is your cross of Christ. That's your cross. That's what the nations are teaching people. The people who worship these things will become nothing. Just like the wood can't speak, hear, taste, touch, or smell, and there's nothing, and there's no life in it. The people who make these things and the people who join up with these things and believe in these things and trust in these things will become like these things. Going back early in our Torah portion, when Yah says, don't bring these things into your house, because you will become like it. You would accept the condemnation that goes along with it. Often you and I think that Yah's just talking. He doesn't mean what he's saying. And that's not true. Yah means everything that he's saying. He's talking to us with his voice. And we have to begin to pay attention. We have to shema. We have to listen and open up our ears and obey what he says. I told you earlier in Psalms 81, Yah had said to them earlier about, hey, my people, I lifted that basket off of your shoulder. I took off the laborer's basket, but now I'm going to tell you something else within that same chapter, a few verses later. He gives an alert, and listen what he says. He says, hear my people while I give you warning. Israel, if you would only listen to me, there is not to be with you any foreign God. You are not to worship an alien God. We said earlier when we left on Yom Kamishi, Okoti Pan brought the fact that Yah has always, it was his way of talking to his people to give them a warning. Yeah, we don't like what we read about you're going to eat your kids. The woman's going to eat the afterbirth and eat her baby when she hit her baby. We don't like that. We don't like the man that's going to eat his kids and hide his son that he's eating. We didn't like the fact that your body's going to be laying on the ground for the animals to eat them up because you think that Yah is cruel, right? And he is. Yes, he is. And I'll prove it. He'll treat us the way that we deserve to be treated. Nobody's getting anything that they don't deserve. Yah has used his words to tell us, I'm warning you, okay? If you would listen to me, there don't supposed to be any foreign God with you. This has been the hang up, and this has been the deal. We learned this in Ezekiel, where he says, I told them to get rid of their gods and they didn't. It's the same thing. It's the same identical thing today. I'm giving my people the warning. I'm warning you. But if you would listen to me, if you don't listen to me, there's a penalty for that. He tells us to listen. I am Yahweh, your Elohim, who brought you up from the land of Mizraim. Open your mouth and I will fill it. That's what I'm telling you. I've been saying this over and over and over and over and over and over again in the Torah portion. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. There is no other alien God who brought you out of the land of Mizraim but me. And there will never be any other Elohim except for me. And when I come to the nations, I'm coming to prove that to the whole world. This is why I'm warning you today to get rid of your idols. Your idols is not what you think because you don't have any figurines in your house. You think it's not there. In the book of Ezekiel, chapter number 14, write it down for yourselves. Yah says that you're hiding your idols in your heart, in your mind. So if they're in your mind, then what are they? They're your thoughts. I need you to believe and trust and understand and listen to my voice. My whole purpose is for you to open your mouth and I will fill it with what? Take note. Understand this. Understand that Yah is speaking. But are we listening? He said, but my people do not listen to my voice. I've been warning them. They won't listen to me. Israel would have none of me. So I gave them over to their stubborn hearts to live by their own plans. That is indicative of a person who doesn't listen to Yah. If you want to know if you're listening to Yah, whether or not you are, you're living by according to what you believe and what you want, what fits your plans and what fits your agenda and what's on your schedule. You see? Oh, that my people would listen to me. Israel would live if they would live by my ways. This is what Yah wants. It's been the theme the whole time. Why? He wants to feed us. If you and I would listen to Yah, he says something here very profound. He said, I will quickly subdue their enemies and turn my hand against their foes. I asked you earlier this week, you think that all of Israel is going to listen to Yah? No, they're not. That's the reason why Yah has not subdued our enemies. You see, but we can't wait on them. You see, you can't wait on anybody else. You and I have to listen to Yah for ourselves. Those who hate Yahweh will cringe before him because he's coming. While Israel's time will last forever, they would be fed with the finest wheat, and I will satisfy them with the honey from the rocks. Listen, folks, If you're in this for any other reason except for being fed by Yah and being taken care of through food security and land and possession through through those and through the promise of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, you're mistaken. You're sadly mistaken. You're in this for the wrong reason. If you're in this so you can feel better about yourself, that you're a Hebrew Israelite, and you haven't accepted the fact that Yah's whole intention is to feed you so you can have somewhere to lay your head and to have your stomach full, and you don't want that, and you want something else, you want to be more a divine agent, and you want to get some wings, and you want to be able to do some special powers, then you're mistaken. This is not for you. This is not for you. Okay. As a result of us not listening to Yah, of the call of Yahweh, okay, and not being directed by his authority and not accepting the yoke of Yahweh, Yah decides that we're going to have another conversation. We're going to talk about this now. We're going to talk about having another conversation. You didn't want to listen to me? You and I are going to have another conversation. That's what you and I are going to have now. Okay? And through this conversation, I'm going to get your attention. I told you all this week about what Yah's intention is. And he says that, listen, if you do not do what I'm telling you, I'm going to bring a lot of things on you. And you and I are going to have another conversation. Just like when your parents tell you not to do something, it's time for us to have a conversation. As an employer, when people wouldn't do what I told them, guess what? I said, it's time for us to have a conversation. I would bring them in the office. I would bring to their attention the things in which I told them that I've already previously told them not to do, and they did it anyway, and they rebelled against what I said. There's consequences. So there's a conversation that Yah has decided. Listen, you and I need to be thankful for this conversation. Yah could have just said, I'm going to wipe you out. But he didn't. He said, I want to have a conversation with you. So let's discuss this conversation and what it means. Okay. Since you and I didn't want to listen, now we're going to have a conversation of affliction, because affliction is a conversation. That's what affliction is. Affliction is having a conversation. That's what it does. Hard labor, oppression, depression, and disease. I always go to my mental health professionals that we have here online who understand what I'm saying. There's a great deal of affliction in the land. There's a great deal of affliction that will come upon us when you and I don't do what he says. Hard labor brings exhaustion. Oppression will bring cruelty, as you can see on my right-hand side. Depression is going to bring about that which is misery. You understand? That which is bad, that which is sorrowful, that which is painful. Affliction brings upon disease. And these are the things in which you found in the chapter number 28 of your Torah portion this week. I couldn't put all verses here all the way down. It's too many. It's too many to count. So I figured I would summarize them and go over them just in detail a little bit so I can understand that this is a conversation. Yah mentions over in chapter number 26 of the book of Leviticus. You and I are going to have a conversation. If you don't listen to me, I'm going to do this to you. If you don't listen to me, I'm going to do this to you. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. That's the conversation. So this is what you and I wanted. And this is what you and I are getting. Okay. This is the reason why it's important for us to understand you and I are not going to minimize or circumvent the curse. You're not getting out of it. For people to say that you're blessed, listen to me, Baruch, and you know, I'm Baruch, I'm Baruch, I'm Baruch. They don't understand what they're saying. They're just running their mouth. Listen, if you and I say that we're blessed, then you and I are saying that Yah hasn't done the things that he's promised to do to his people. That means that we're not listening to his voice. That's what it means. I don't care if there's a little bit of relief. You understand? You're still in affliction, and accept it, because it brings about a change that we're going to talk about. So this conversation is about exhaustion, hard labor. It's about exhaustion. Listen to what the creator of the heavens and the earth has declared through the Psalms. Some lived in darkness and death, dark gloom, bound in misery and iron chains, because they defied Elohim's word, scorned the counsel of the Most High Elyon. That word Most High is Elyon. He's the highest. And the counsel of the Most High is what he's trying to give to his people. And he doesn't want us to defy his word and hate his word and scorn his counsel. So I tell you what to do, but you turn around and say, I'm going to go against what you said. Somebody tell me what happens to a person that Yah gave a decision and gave counsel, and he decided to go the opposite direction. What the priest had told him. What did Yah say do to that person? Kill him. You need to kill him. I'm not tolerating it. That's my voice. So I said what I said, and that's my counsel. You understand? So Elyon, he humbled their hearts by hard labor. When they stumbled, no one came to their aid. Have you noticed that nobody's been able to help any of us in our situation as a people? I'm not talking about individual. A lot of us are doing well individually. A lot of us have homes. A lot of us have jobs. A lot of us are eating. A lot of us are, we have, good health. We have health care. We got a refrigerator full of food. You should be ashrei. You should be happy. You should celebrate that. You absolutely should. Okay. But in terms of the nation, Yah says that I'm going to humble their hearts by hard labor. I'm going to do this to this people. And this is what he's done. And nobody's coming to their aid. So even after the death of that so-called savior, there has never been anyone to come to our aid. There's never been anyone at the United Nations to come to our aid. There's a lot of talk, but there ain't no change. What nations ever stood up for the children of Israel? Huh? Name one. Name. Nobody, because nobody cares. This is what Yah is talking about. Slavery is a piece of it. In our Torah portion, Yah said this: I'm going to put a yoke of iron on your neck. Yahweh will send your enemy against you, and you will serve him. When you are hungry, thirsty, poorly clothed, and lacking everything, he will put a yoke of iron on your neck until he destroys you. Do you remember earlier in our teaching, we talked about that yoke that Yah puts upon someone? I'm going to put this yoke on. That is all. On, upon your neck until he destroys you. So you can see here, if you and I didn't want to do the work for Yahweh and his work and to tread his ground, I'm going to send you somewhere and you're going to put someone else is going to put a yoke of iron on your neck. But of course it's for me. But I'm going to send an enemy against you. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send somebody against you so you can serve him because you didn't want to serve me. And instead of you serving me when you had your stomach full, I'm going to make you hungry. You had a lot of water to drink, but guess what? That's not going to happen. You're going to be poorly clothed. When you were with me, you had all the clothing and you lacked nothing, but here you're going to lack everything. I'm going to give you some what you need as a contrast, because this is the conversation that you and I need to have. See, since you want to serve someone else, you want to serve these other gods. You want to give them your time. You want to give them your thought life. You want to cherish evil thoughts. This is what it's going to be. I'm going to put a yoke on your neck. I'm going to destroy you. That's the conversation. Okay. And if you listen, I want you to listen, because I'm going to keep talking to you. I am Yahweh. There will be some relief. I'm not going to leave you just to be destroyed. There's coming a time when the trees in the field will bear their fruit and the soil is produce. You see? Have you noticed it's about the land? There's no heavenly, hey, you're just going to take you up to heaven and I'm going to relieve you of all your problems. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put trees in a field and they're going to bear fruit for you. And the soil is produce. And they will be secure in their land. Who? The people that I bring back to the land. Then they will know that I'm Yahweh when I break the bars of their yoke and rescue them from the power of those who turn them into slaves. So understand this. In Ezekiel 34, is so much packed. It's talking about the shepherd, and Yah's shepherding us. And he says, you're my sheep and you're my flocks, and I'm going to bring you back. And I'm going to bring King David, and he's going to do this and he's going to do that. It's so much information. I'd have 1,000 slides. We got close to over 100 today, so I got to get through them. But what I'm going to tell you here is that Yah says, I'm going to bring you back into the land where in trees in your field. And this is what I want to give you. I want to give you fruit, and I want to give you produce. That's what I want to give you, which is going back to your land. Okay. And then when you get there, then that's when you will know that I'm Yahweh. That's the only time you're really going to know. You don't know nothing until you know that I'm Yahweh, and you won't know I'm Yahweh until I break the bars of the yoke off your neck and rescue them from the power of those who turn them into slaves. If you notice, the theme is, and this is not talking about Mizraim. This ain't talking about the Babylonians. This ain't talking about the Assyrians. This ain't talking about the Palestinians or the Philistines. These ain't talking about the Romans and the Greeks. It's talking about right now. That's the only way that you and I are going to know who he is for real. Because he uses this in order to bring us to understanding who he is through a yoke. And he's going to break these bars of the yoke that's on our necks. And I'm going to rescue you from the power of those who turned you into slaves. Our Elohim is the Elohim of slavery. And I'm going to rescue you. I do rescues for slaves. I think about the widow, the fatherless. I think about the Lewi and the stranger and the foreigner. I'm going to deliver you from your slavery. That's the reason why I got to put you back into slavery, because that's the only thing you're going to learn is through your hardships and your toil. Hardship is good if it brings you to Yahweh. But some people are going to die without even knowing anything. And they're going to die without even knowing their lesson. I told you earlier that Yahweh was cruel. And he has been cruel. Because that's the conversation that needs to happen. All your friends have forgotten you. I want you to know that. I want you to know that they no longer seek you out. I want you to know that I have struck you down as an enemy would. I want you to know that I punished you as a cruel man would. I want you to know this because of your great wickedness and because of your many sins. You need to know that. I treated you and punished you as a cruel man would. Yeah, I've been cruel. Yeah. If that's going to get your attention. Yeah, I put you under hard labor. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, I sent an enemy against you. Yeah, I did that. Why? Because you wouldn't listen to me and because of your sins. You brought upon your own misery. But I've learned from the Psalms, Tehillim, that even while we're in our state of misery, he says, I'm going to keep trusting. I'm going to keep on trusting even when I say I'm utterly miserable. See, even in misery and even in hardship and even in your labor, you still have to trust. You still have to put your confidence in Yah. You still, even when you're in a panic, you still have to declare that everything human is deceptive, that every man on the face of this earth will let you down and they'll lie to you. No one on the earth has your best interests at heart outside of the Creator. No one. And if a person is not following the Torah, they do not have your best interests at heart, and they are deceptive because there's nothing that's governing their lives. They can't be trusted. They have not been able to help us. If you notice that, that's what he's been saying. Everyone has forgotten you. There's been no aid in your help in your misery and your hardship. No one. I'm going to bring disorder to your body through disease. I'm going to mess up your biological atmosphere. I'm going to mess that up. Have you noticed that everything that we have, and I'll go back right here, the exhaustion, physically, mentally, spiritually, cruelty, physically, spiritually, mentally, misery. You can't be miserable just in your soul and not in your body. Everything is connected. If there's a disorder and a disease in your body, it affects your mental state. I'm going to tear down every element that you have in your being. I'm going to disrupt your soul. Because that's how I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to talk to you through labor. What did Yah tell Adam after he committed that sin that he committed? What did he tell him?
But work the land, bear no fruit.
But you're gonna work the land according to the what? The sweat of your what?
Brow.
Sweat of your brow. And guess what's also going to happen? He mentions there in Hebrew that I'm going to make your bones hurt, your etzim. I'm gonna hurt you. You're gonna work the ground, and the ground ain't gonna produce no fruit for you. Why? Because you transgressed the king of the universe. I'm gonna put some pain on your behind until you get it. And then he turns around and tell the women, I'm gonna hurt you too. I'm gonna bring some pain birth through childbirth. And guess what happens to her? And it's used in Hebrew. I'm gonna expand your bones. When a woman has pregnant and she gets and the baby starts growing inside of her, her pelvis is expanded. Her bones are moved out of its place. I'm going to bring pain. So I'm going to bring pain to the man by working the land, right? He's going to experience that in his bones. So he's going to experience some arthritis. His joints are going to hurt. I'm going to do all these things for you. You see? That's the way I'm going to get your attention. That's the way I work. I work through famine. If I need to starve you to death, I'll show you, okay? In Ezekiel 14, I will go make you hungry in order to get your attention. If eating your children will bring about the change I need, then guess what? We're going there too. If your body needs to be eaten up by animals outside, then that needs to happen. If I need to send some lions and some leopards and some tigers to come take your children while you're just sitting there in the field and they take them away to get your attention, I'll do that. I'll get your attention. I will stop the rain to get your attention. I'll talk to you through the suffering. That's how you'll be able to understand what I'm saying. But it doesn't have to be this way, people. He tells us in our Torah this week, if you will not observe and obey all the words, not some of them, all the words of this Torah, these instructions that are written in this scroll, so that you will fear this glorious and awesome name, Yahweh, your Elohim, then Yahweh will strike you down, okay? Strike down you and your descendants. I'm not going to just get you. I'm going to get your descendants too. With what? With extraordinary plagues and severe sicknesses that will go on and on and on and on. This is not a game for us. This is serious. I'm going to strike you. There again, that word all means upon. Upon. That's what I'm telling you. I'm going to bring it upon you. I'm going to put it on you. You understand? Listen to this. That word all is all through here. Upon. I'm going to bring these back all upon you. Remember to experience the what? The staff. You're going to get this. You go get this now. Okay. And I'm going to put all the diseases of the Egyptians that they had, right? And which you were afraid of and dread of, they're going to cling to you. Not only that, but Yahweh will bring upon, okay. And that bringing right there is our word tavo, right? Tavo, which is bow, will come and bring. That's what it means, all upon you. I'm going to bring that upon you too. Okay. And all the sickness and plagues that are not written in this book of the Torah until you are destroyed. Now, is this Yahweh's voice? Is this the voice of the loving shepherd in the book of the New Testament, John chapter number 8, that tells you that I'm the good shepherd? Does this sound like that shepherd? Huh? Does this sound like the one that says you can do whatever you like to do and I'm going to forgive you no matter what you've done? Or does this sound like the Elohim that says I'm here to direct, discipline, and to protect and to bring about the change that I need to bring about in my people? See, this is the shepherd that nobody wants. You see? So this is the reason why people don't want to come to him, because they know that they're going to be held accountable. All right. So they want the easy out. We want the one who's not going to do this to us. So if you can escape this, okay, by saying, if you read the Torah, then you got free of this. So he's calling Yahweh a lie. You see, if you read the Torah, you're no longer under this. And that's a lie. And you almost said something. That's a lie. That is a lie. I've been dealing with gout for 3 weeks now in my knee. For 3 weeks. And the inflammation, no matter I changed my diet, the inflammation is still there. It's clinging to me. Still on me. I got a problem with my left eye. What is that? You can't go before Yahweh if something's wrong. You can't go to Yahweh if something's wrong with your body. You can't. You can't stand before him. You can't be in his temple. But if you listen to these rabbis, you listen to these teachers and these pastors, they're going to tell you that you're right with Yah and you're blessed. And the Yah has not did the Kuala. He doesn't mean what he said in Deuteronomy 28. They're trying to circumvent the curses, people. And if you circumvent the curses, then that means that you're not trying to have the conversation. If you don't have the conversation, that means that there's not going to be any change. That means that Yah is not disciplining you because they don't want the discipline of Yah. So let's get rid of the curses. Let's get rid of his curses. Let's get rid of Deuteronomy 28. You know, we often say, well, we trying to prove to people that we're the children of Israel. And I'm going to tell you right now, you don't got nothing to prove to nobody. Our lives themselves and our people prove the fact that we're these people. We're these people. Go look at the statistics for the African American. Go look at it. Number one in heart disease, number one in diabetes, number one in prison population, number one in death, number one in police brutality. You tell me. On less than 1% of the world's total wealth. There's pictures of us with yokes of iron on our neck. And you're telling me that we got to prove to somebody that you're the children of Israel? He says, I'm going to call it, they're going to call you by bywords and names. How many names do these people call us? You're a nigger, you're a nigga, you're a coon, you're this, you're that. You're stupid, you're lazy, all these things. You're worthless. You're kualala. And I'm supposed to be quiet. And I don't supposed to say nothing. This ain't happening. Nobody else on the face of this earth. I'm bringing it. Why? Why? Because Elohim with affliction, his affliction, delivers the afflicted. That's why. That's why God's brought affliction. In order to deliver us from it. In order to get our attention. He has to press upon us. And he's using other people to do it. Well, he's not doing it. He's allowed the nations to do it. He's brought enemies against Israel for thousands of years ago, and he continues to bring them until you and I finally wake up to the fact of who he is. And he means what he says until you and I start listening to his voice. He will be exalted. Be careful. Turn away from wrongdoing, for because of this, you have been tested by affliction. Look, Elohim is exalted in his strength. Who is a teacher like him? Whoever prescribed his course for him, whoever said, what are you doing is wrong. What you're doing is wrong. Who's ever said it to him? Yah is exalted through our affliction. You know, when I first came into this truth, I didn't understand this. I didn't understand that Yah wanted to be exalted through my suffering. I didn't understand it. The closer you and I get to him, and you want to be close to Yah, it takes affliction. You got to be afflicted first. Go and look at the history of our people. You've got to be afflicted so he can take you out of it. I'm going to go quickly through Zion because Zion is part of our Torah portion, is part of our Haftarah. Okay, it's our Haftarah, which is the prophet that kind of ties everything up. In this, in particular, Haftarah, Yah begins to tell us, hey, when these people come, Tavo is all over the place. The Hebrew word Tavo is all in chapter number 60. Okay, chapter number 62. I open it up with chapter number.
I'm not setting the right expectation for what a good Eid is. Guess what?
Excuse me. I have someone. Can you put your device on mute, please, for me? Thank you.
So maybe I'm the issue.
Excuse me. Could you put your device on
And
mute?
if I'm the issue, that means I have to work on me.
Hello? Sorry, you guys, I can't see right quick. I got to stop the presentation because I can't see.
It's back to
It's
the
Avia.
question that started this
Is
in the
it?
first place.
It's Avia.
If you were looking to help
Avia.
us,
Avia
why
Malak.
would you look for a
Avia Malak.
self-help book,
I don't
Not-
see it.
a book for me?
Because I've been paying since I was watching her YouTube. So I thought it would be something you could benefit from. Because you don't intend to watch the things I point out to you. Going back to me leading. I can lead you to something, but that doesn't.
I do apologize that we had that interruption in our study. Going back to our lesson. Thank you for that, Condra, for bringing that out. Showing me who it was. I had to get out. Now I got to go back again. Let's see here. It was good for a break. Take a positive from it. Get my thoughts together. All right. Can you see my screen, everyone? Unmute yourself. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. All right. So basically, back to the study. The Zion is the place in which Yah says, I will not be silent. Okay, for Zion's sake and Yerushalayim's sake, I will not rest until her vindication shines out brightly and her salvation like a blazing torch. Okay. Our Haftarah has this word of Tavo all in it. It's at least, I'm not kidding, over 10 times. Okay. And I want to prove to you that Jerusalem that you know as of today is not Jerusalem. Okay. And if it is, there's a definite problem that's there. Okay. So we're going to look at what Yah says in Isaiah chapter number 60. So here it is, the distant future. Tavo. Okay. He says, arise and shine, Yerushalayim, for your light has come. The glory of Yahweh has risen over you. For although darkness covers the earth and the thick darkness, the peoples, on you Yahweh will rise. And over you, you will be seen his glory. Nations will go toward your light and kings toward your splendor. That means that they will come to Yerushalayim. Okay. Tavo. When they come, because that's what Tavo means, when they come. So the light of Yah is coming to Yerushalayim. The future wealth is going to come to Yerushalayim. And he says, raise your eyes and look around. They are all assembling and coming to you. See that word Tavo, coming to you. And the people that are coming to Yerushalayim, because this in particular chapter is dealing with Yerushalayim, is your sons and your daughters are coming far off. Okay. They're coming far off. Your daughters are being carried on the nurse's hips. Then you will see and be radiant, and your heart will throb and swell with delight, for the riches of the seas will be brought to you, and the wealth of the nations will come to you. Now, in our Torah portion this week, Yah says that you and I are supposed to bring a basket to him, and we're supposed to bring the tithes to him. We're supposed to bring these things to Yah. So this is kind of like a reflection of what the purpose of that Torah portion is about, is to show us the end and to show us the future about what Yah's intention is for the nations. Okay, because that's what we're supposed to teach the nations. The nations are supposed to bring Yah things too, not only Israel, but the nations. So there's a future welcome, but there's also future visitors that are supposed to go to Zion. Okay, and these visitors, and you got to ask yourself the question. The question is, has these things happened yet? And the answer to that is no. So in this Torah, this Haftarah, we find that there are future visitors who are supposed to come to Zion and Yerushalayim, and let's see if they're there. So these are the families that are going to be coming there, which are the families of, oh, forgive me. These are the families that are the Shemitic families, okay? They're the Midians, they're the Ephah, they're the Sheva, and they're the Kedar and the Naviel. This is in chapter number 60, okay? Over here, I have a chart that shows you that the individuals that are mentioned, okay, in Isaiah 60 are found in Abraham's line, okay? They're found in his line, and they're coming specifically out of Keturah, which is his third wife, okay? She had, and these are the ones who are coming. These are the individuals that are coming to Yerushalayim. And over out of Yishmael's line, you got Navayot. He's coming. Kedar's coming, okay? And of course, all those who are attached to them. So the families of Abraham are going to be the ones who are going to come to Yerushalayim. They're going to come to Zion, okay? He doesn't mention these families under here at Esau because he's angry with them. He's not allowing them to come, okay? Not until I think a third generation or so, but the individuals that are coming. So he mentions them as, the camels of Naviyoth and Kedar and the rams of this people and this. He's talking about their leaders. He's talking about their people. So when you look at that chapter, understand that these people here, the Midian and Ephah and Sheva and Kedar and Naviyoth, these individuals are all Shemitic families that are going to come and bring a great amount of wealth, frankincense, spices, and all these things. Just like he asked us in our Torah portion to bring things to him, he's asking for these future visitors when they come, when they tavo to come, okay? There's also going to be a future in transport, okay? Tavo, when they come. Who are these? Flying along like clouds, like doves to their dove coats. The coastlands are putting their hope in me, with the Tarshish ships in the lead, to bring what? Your children from afar off. And with them, there's silver and gold, for the sake of Yahweh your Elohim, the Kadosh one of Yisrael who glorifies you. So again, this is when he's talking about bringing us back to the land of Yisrael, more specifically to present us to the city of Zion in Yerushalayim. Okay, so there's going to be some future transportation. There's going to be a future of construction, because the future is something that you and I in the Hebrew look towards, okay? The word for future in the Hebrew is called olam. It's known as forever. Okay. Olam is a distant time in the past, or it could be a distant time in the future. Okay. And it's something that you and I can't see right now. It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. So you do have a future. It's just a matter of when Yah decides for it to happen. It's at a prescribed time. So in a prescribed time, in an olam, Yahweh is going to bring about construction, and he's also going to bring about some servants when they come, because they're going to come too. Foreigners will come and rebuild your walls, okay? So right now, they have that one wall up in Yerushalayim that they say that's the Wailing Wall, but none of the walls have been rebuilt around the city. So that hasn't happened, okay? Their kings will be at your service. The kings will be servants to Yah. To be in service means to be a servant. For in my anger, I struck you. He's talking about the land. But in mercy, in my mercy, I will pity you. Who? The land. Your gates of the land will always be open, and they will not be shut by day or by night, so that the people can bring you the wealth of the nations with their kings led in procession. So this is what's going to happen as well, going back to who's bringing this, who's serving. So we see right now that that's not going on. That's not going on, okay, in what they would call Jerusalem, okay? There's a future of the nations and the kingdoms, which is Lo Tavo. So the nation and the kingdom that won't serve you will perish, okay? So if you know right now, the nations are not serving Yerushalayim. Okay, and there no one's perishing because of this, because those nations will utterly be destroyed if they do not come and serve you. And if not being in a service to you, they're going to be destroyed. The glory of Lebanon will come to you, meaning its trees, its cypresses together with the elm trees, the larches, to beautify the site of my sanctuary, which we know that there is no site of a sanctuary right now in what they call Zion or Jerusalem, Yerushalayim. I will glorify the place where I stand. So Yah has not took a stand in Yerushalayim. Not yet. Why? Because the children haven't been brought back. You see? So these things have to happen. So the children have to be brought back into the land in order for Yah to come there, in order to be there. For the light of Yahweh to be there, it means that he says that the light that I'm bringing to the land, it's only because I'm going to be bringing the children of them to the land. Okay? So understand and put everything in its proper perspective. Don't try to say, there's a lot of people out here calling the United States of America Yerushalayim. A lot of people out here saying that the United States of America is Israel. Okay, they have literally no evidence. It's all conjecture. Okay, they got some maps that somebody put together, but that's not enough evidence. It's not enough evidence. Okay, we will know where Yerushalayim, and I'm just going to say this: we will know where Yerushalayim is, the true Yerushalayim, when Yahweh brings the children of Israel back to that place. And I'm not talking about just a group of people. I'm talking about all tribes of Israel and those who are joined to her. Okay, so the children of your oppressors, the oppressors of who? Of the land, will come and bow low before you. All who despised you will fall at your feet, calling you what? So, in context, he's talking about the city of Yahweh. That's what they're going to call you, Zion, the Kadosh one of Israel. Talking about the city. It's not talking about, so often people say that chapter number 60 is talking about us as a people. It's not. It's talking about bringing us back. It's talking about the land itself, and it's talking about the city, okay? Also, too, there's a future atmosphere that's going to be in Zion, or in Yerushalayim. It says, in the past, you were abandoned. You were hated, so that no one would even pass through you. But now, I will make you the pride of all ages. Question. Is that place over there today the pride of all ages? Is it a joy? No. You will drink the milk of the nations. You will nurse at the royal breast. And you will know that I, Yahweh, am your savior, your redeemer, your mighty one of Yaakov. Did you guys hear that the Queen of England never took a visit over to Jerusalem or Israel? Excuse me.
No.
She never visited there. Not one time. Why not?
Because she wasn't colonizing it and getting wealth from it.
Yeah, but okay. But also too, if you look at it this way, according to this text right here, it says anybody who doesn't come and bring their wealth to you and doesn't do this and doesn't do that, I'm going to destroy them. You see?
Mm-hmm.
So we know that this hasn't been fulfilled. Yah says, for the bronze, I will bring you gold. For iron, I will bring you silver. And for bronze in the place of wood and iron in the place of stones, I will make Shalom your governor and righteousness your taskmaster. Now, here's the kicker. This is why you should know that the place in Israel that they call Jerusalem right now has not actively been, if it is, then you know that it's not, this prophecy has not been handled. Violence will no longer be heard in your land, desolation or destruction within your borders. Instead, you will call your wall salvation and your gates praise. Is there violence in that land?
Yes.
Yes.
Is there this desolation and destruction within their borders?
Yes.
Yes. Do they go to the United Nations to have to answer to? Do they answer to the United Nations?
No.
Oh yeah. Israel goes to the United Nations. They bring all kind of criminal charges against them and everything. They're part of that. They're part of that group. Or what my point is that you should know that in particular group of people and that in particular land right now is not governed by the creator of the heavens and the earth. You should know that. You should actually know that. Okay. That means that he's not there. That's my point.
Mm-hmm.
And if he was there, there would be a future light of glory and light when it comes. And Yahweh says, no more will the sun be your light by day, nor the moonlight shine on you. Instead, Yahweh will be your light forever, and your Elohim, your glory. Yah's glory will be above that in particular city. Okay? Just like it was out in the wilderness. No longer will your sun go down and your moon will no longer wane, for Yahweh will be your light forever, and the days of your mourning will end. This is why you know Yah hasn't been there, and he's not there. Okay? There's a future for the inhabitants. I want you to hear this. The future inhabitants who will tavo, who will go into this land, all your people will be, and he's talking to the land, all your people will be Zedequim. Zedequim in Hebrew means righteous. They will inherit the land forever. They will inherit the land forever. They will be the branch I planted, my handiwork in which I take pride. If you go to chapter number 61 and 62, he continues to follow up talking about that branch that he planted is going to grow into an oak of righteousness. Okay. So Yah's planting these people. These righteous people are going to be planted by Yah. And he says, they're my handiwork. I'm going to plant them. Okay. The smallest will grow to 1,000. The weakest of them, will become a mighty nation. I, Yahweh, when the right time comes, will quickly bring it about. Yah has not planted the Zedequim in that land. They're not. Okay. Homosexuality is rampant in that place called Israel today. It is. They have gay parades and everything. Yah's not in that land. Those people over there, okay, hate every other people. They put out the Ethiopians. They call people out of their names. They call them niggas and all kind of stuff. They don't want nobody there except for themselves, if indeed that is the land. Okay. Me, I don't believe it's the land. Doesn't fit. Okay. Yah's intention is to be back in his land and in his city. He wants to make Yerushalayim his home. Okay. His home. What's his home? Yahweh has chosen Zion. He has wanted it as his home. This is my resting place forever. I will live here because I so much want to. I will bless it with plenty of meat, and I will give its poor their fill of food. Talking about what we've been discussing today about Yah's intention is to feed. Okay. Its Kohanim, meaning its priests, I will clothe with salvation, and its faithful will shout for joy. What? The faithful of the city. I will make a king sprout from David's line. Okay. And prepare a lamp for my anointed one. His enemies I will clothe with shame, but on him there will be be a shining crown. So Yah wants to make Zion his home. If Yah's home is Zion, then he needs to put people out that are not righteous. Yah's not living in a place of filth, okay, and debauchery, homosexuality. He's not living in a place where there's confusion, violence, none of these places. And you and I have to understand this, okay? That's what it is. It's our future. Our future is a message from Yahweh Zavaoth. Now, again, I told you in my teachings that when Yah mentions his name, sometimes he mentions himself as just Yahweh, and then he says, Yahweh, your Elohim. And then there's often other times that he mentions his name with this title of Yahweh Zavaoth. Zavaoth means of heaven's army, which is indicative of Yah coming in a fashion of military campaign, okay? And if you can look at the text, he says a message came from Yahweh Zavaoth. Yahweh Zavaoth says, I am extremely jealous, okay, on Zion's behalf. And I'm jealous for her with great fury. So again, that supports the fact that he says Yahweh Zavaoth, okay? Yahweh says, I'm returning to Zion and I will live. This is where I'm going to live. I'm going to live in Yerushalayim, okay? Then Yerushalayim will be called the truth city. Yahweh Zavaoth's mountain, the mountain of the set apart one, the holy one, okay? So Yah has not done, this is in the future. And this is found in Zechariah chapter number 8, verses 1 through 3. Continuing on in the future, in the Olam, Yahweh Zavaoth says this, old men and old women will once again sit in the open places of Yerushalayim, each one with his cane in his hand. So this idea of us going to heaven and never dying is not the case. Yah says even old people who have a cane in their hand. Why? Why they got a cane in their hand? Because they're old. And he doesn't say how old they are, but they're old. Okay. And they're there. Why? Because of their great age. Also in Isaiah, he says that my people's days will be like the days of a tree. You guys are going to live a long time. The reason you're going to be able to live a long time is simply because of the food that you eat, the environment in which you're in. Okay. The cities, which is Zion's open places, will be full of boys and girls playing there. Okay. So this is going to be the community. The community is going to have the old and the young together. Okay. In the future, Yah says, Yahweh says this. This may seem amazing to the survivors in those days, but must it also be amazing to me, says Yahweh Zavaoth? See, he's saying after what? What survivors? I'm coming as Yahweh Zavaoth. I'm coming in military fashion. Yahweh Zavaoth says, I will save my people from lands east and west, and I will bring them back, and they will live in Yerushalayim. You hear this? They will be my people, and I will be their Elohim with faithfulness and justice. When I bring them back. Future. But from now on, when after I just brought them back, I will not treat the remnant of this people as I did before, says Yahweh Zavaoth. Okoti Zion talks about the remnant all the time. There's a very small group of people that is going back to Yerushalayim, is going back to Zion to go live with Yahweh their Elohim. Okay. He says, but from now on, I'm not going to treat this remnant, the people that I bring back, as I did before, says Yahweh Zavaoth. Now they will sow in peace. The vine will give its fruit, and the ground will produce its yield, and the sky will give its dew, and I will cause the remnant of this people to possess all these things. In contrast to what he just told us in our Torah portion, if they go against me, I'm taking away the fruit of the vine. I'm taking away the produce of the ground. I'm taking away the vegetation. I'm taking away the rain from the sky. I'm taking away the dew. I'm taking all that away. Now he's saying I'm going to restore them. So the restoration of this is when Yah decides to come back and give his people back their inheritance. Okay. It's in the future. The future. And this is why you and I should know. This is it right here. Mark it down, Zechariah 8:13 through 15. This should tell you, all right, that this has not happened. The house of Yehuda and the house of Yisrael, not just one house, both houses consisting of all tribes, all 12, just as you were formerly a curse among the nations. So there you go again. Just like you were a Kualala, you were worthless and you were nothingness among the nations. See? So you can't break this curse. So now I will save you from what? From your curse. And you will be a what? A blessing. Don't go around saying you're a blessing and Yah has not brought you to the land. Don't go around and say you're a blessing and you're not having been brought, and you don't have the vegetables and the fruits, and you don't have the trees, you don't have the oil, you don't have the wine, you don't have the pomegranate, you don't have none of the stuff that he said. You have none of the promises that he made to our fathers, but yet you're blessed. No, you're on something else. You're on something else. You're not on what he's talking about. You're not listening to his voice. These are his words. The word or the prophet Zechariah means Yah remembers. He uses this prophet to tell us that Yah remembers. We're going to remember you. The house of Yehuda and the house of Israel have never been joined back together. Nowhere. Over thousands of years. So when you got a group of people, they're going around and saying that, oh, he brought the Jews back to the land and it's 1948. Where's the house of Israel? Where's Reuven? Huh? Where's Simon? Where's Lewi? Where's Zevulun? Where's Naphtali? Where's Dan? Where's Gad? Where's Asher? Where are they? Where's Benjamin? Where are they? Everybody is trying to circumvent what Yahweh says. They don't want to hear what Yahweh says. So guess who they're going to have to listen to? They're going to have to listen to Yahweh Zavaoth. They're going to have to listen to Yahweh Zavaoth of Yahweh's army. That's who they're going to have to listen to now. If he says that I will save you, I'm saving you from your curse, and you're not going to be a curse anymore, you're going to be a blessing now. So don't be afraid, but take courage. Why don't I want you to be afraid? Because I told you which way I'm coming. I'm coming as Yahweh Zavaoth. So when you see all these things happen before your very eyes, for Yahweh Zavaoth says, just as I resolved to do you harm, yes, I was resolved to do you harm. When your forefathers provoked me, they went against me. Yahweh Zavaoth says, and I did not relent. Did not stop. I did not hold back my hand. So now I resolve to do good to Jerusalem, to Yerushalayim. I'm resolving it. So I was resolved to do you harm. I was resolved to hurt you. I was resolved to curse you. I was resolved to make you worthless. I was resolved to starve you. I was resolved to take away your wives. I was resolved to put your children in captivity. Nothing stopped me then. But I don't need you to be afraid, because now I'm resolved to do good. I'm going to do tov to Yerushalayim and to the house of Yehudah, which includes the house of Yisrael. So don't be afraid. I know it's a lot, but that's your future. You have a future. You do. But your future is only going to be found in Zion. Your future is only going to happen when you listen to the call of Yahweh. You're only going to tavo if you listen to the voice. Tavo is when you come. You're only going to go or come into the land if you listen to the voice of Yahweh. If you don't follow what he says, then you're going to be kualala. You're going to be kualala. But Yah's desire is not to kualala. Yah's desire is to feed us. What's wrong? I got this picture up. I chose this picture. I took it off of the internet or Facebook. I liked it. It's beautiful. In it, you see all these people. You see, they're dressed up. They're at a festival. They got everything they need. They got the fruits, they got the vegetables, they got the oil, they got the grain, they got the clothing, they got the colors, they got their life. This is what Yah's intention is for his people, is to give us life and to bring us and to gather us. Yah is not gathering a whole bunch of misfits that don't want to do what he says. He's not gathering a whole bunch of dummies, I've been saying. I know people don't like that word when I say stupid or dumb, but he calls us people. He says my people are dumb and they're stupid. Why? Because I be talking and nobody's listening to me. You guys have even changed the nature's rules on rain. Chapter number 4, chapter number 5 is Yeremi Yahu. You actually changed the seasons because you won't do what I tell you. I want somebody to read. I want somebody to listen to what I'm saying. I don't care if you know how to read the Hebrew. Just try to learn the culture. Try to understand it. Stop being so resistant to change. You know, stop being afraid to learn what a verb is or a conjugation. Stop being afraid to expand your mind, to open up. And a matter of fact, understand something. I chose affliction for my people to get their attention, to discipline them, to bring them to the point of them crying out to me. In the moment that you stop thinking you're afflicted and you think you're blessed, you won't cry out to me. You won't cry out to me. The moment you think that you're blessed and you're so, and I mean you are so close with each other, you won't make those changes that I'm asking you to make. You're going to hold on to those thoughts that cause nothing but destruction to you as a people. You ask yourselves, why are these families destroyed? Why are you in prison? Why is your health bad? Why does it seem like you just can't make it or you can't survive? Why is there no unity among this group of people? Why is there so much hatred and jealousy and envy and strife? is because nobody would listen to his voice. Nobody. Israel has not listened to Yah. Moshe said that, hey, up to this point, Yah is not giving you eyes to see and ears to hear. Not to this point, he still ain't gave it to you. Why? He said, did you not know that when you were in the wilderness, that your shoes didn't wear out and your clothes didn't wear out and I fed you? Why? He said, I need you to think deeply about these things. Why aren't you thinking about this? Then when you look at the book of Isaiah and he talks about that there won't be any need for the sun anymore because I'm going to be your light. Yah's telling us when you live in his presence, and I need you to hear me, when Yah comes into Zion, his glory is going to shine over that city. Okay. And the environment is going to be one that allows people to live a long time because it changes the environment by Yah's presence. That's why their shoes didn't wear out. That's the reason why their clothes didn't wear out. And he says, anything that they needed, I provided for you. Yah took care of them in a place that had absolutely nothing. The name Zion actually means a dry place, like a desert that is deserted. Why would he choose a place called for dirt or desolation? Why? Because he's letting you know that I bring life. I'll bring life to you. This guy was talking about, where our job is to teach the nations. This is what we're supposed to do right now. If you got the Torah, you're supposed to teach the nations. Ain't wrong. Not right now. Your job is not to teach the nations right now, Yisrael. Your job right now is to think about your situation. How are you going to be turning around talking, I'm going to teach the nation something? See, that's all that churchy stuff. That's all that religious talk that people like to talk so they can circumvent the reality of what's before us. People want to feel good about their situation, so they make up stories. We're supposed to teach the nations. Right now, this is what he's saying. Am I against teaching the nations? No, because Yah tells us you will teach the nations, but not now. Right now, we're on a whole different page. The page that we need to be on right now is accept the curses. Don't try to circumvent them. Don't try to erase them. Don't try to, cover them up. And let's deal with the situation. Let's ask ourselves, why does this happen? Yah says, because of your crimes. It happened because of your crimes. That's what it happened for. It happened because of your crimes. Okay. What's next? The Torah portion next week will be found in the book of Davarim, chapter number 29, verse 9, all the way to chapter number 30, verse 20. So you can see it's only one chapter, literally. That's all you're going to get. You're going to chop it down every day and read a little bit every day. Yashayahu, chapter number 61, 10 through 63, 9, a little bit longer. The connection between those, you got to find words and phrases and things that are being discussed in order to make the connection. Okay, that's why I was able to take Isaiah and I found that word tavo all through there. So when these kings are coming and when you come and then and when these other visitors come and when the foreigners come and when these people come and, and when they bring this and when they go here and all that, see, so you'll be able to make those connections. I know it's difficult. I know it's hard. Knowing Yah is not easy. Knowing about him is not easy. The words that he's spoken to us is not easy. It's not easy. And I'm not trying to diminish anybody. I'm not. I'm just going to tell you the truth. I ain't going to sit up here and lie to you. I'm not. I refuse to lie. And so you and I can feel good about, being the children of Israel. Yeah, feel good about that, but understand what that really means. You think these things were written for what reason? So you and I can dance around and say how blessed we are. You've seen them on Facebook. You see them on YouTube. Everybody thinks this is a game, but you know what? Yahweh Zavaoth is going to speak, and that day is coming. It's coming. It's coming. Anyone would like to add any contributions, make any remarks? And again, I do apologize for the interruption today. Kind of broke my train of thought. So I do apologize about that. Anyone? I see a couple of hands. I see Anzanya first, and then we'll go to Jeannie. Go ahead, Zanya.
Yes, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, brother. Thank you so much for a really well taught, well thought, and just a lesson filled with much knowledge. I truly appreciate you, brother. I just wanted to speak briefly, which you were talking about Baruch and Ashrei, if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Yes, correct.
It's kind of difficult in.
Hello? We lost that sister.